Alright, so I bet you guys didn't expect me to be making this video, but here we are playing Knights Against Blackmoor. If you don't know what this is, earlier near the start of this year, I started work on a Blackmoor fan game called Knights Against Blackmoor. You know, 2D hack and slash beat 'em up, whatever you want to call it. And it got canceled at some point. I'm here talking about stuff that led to its cancellation, maybe why it was canceled, and the game itself. So we're going to go ahead and hit play, and I'm going to play through what is currently here and talk about stuff as I go on. So there are 3 default playable characters. There were going to be 5, and these 2 down here are secret unlockable characters. I'll get back to them in a minute. But the 3 current playables were Thomas, Gregor, and Nameless. As you can see, Nameless and Thomas both have redesigns, and Gregor is an entirely new character. Thomas has a skin, which is Gomez, and Nameless's alternate skin is Bison. This is before he was added to BM2, so technically, this is the first Blackmoor game where you could play as Bison for as little as that's worth. It's worth literally nothing, but whatever. So I'm going to be playing as Thomas for the first stage. I'll do the second as Gregor. I'll do the third as Nameless, and then I'll loop back and do the last stage as Thomas again. I'll get back to the secret characters in a minute. Neither of them are viable whatsoever. I made it intentionally that every single secret character was trash, and I tried to make the core 5 balanced. The reason is because secret characters they're secrets, they're not intended to be balanced whatsoever, so they can either have an attack that does a crazy amount of damage and then all of their other stats suck, they're slightly below the curve, etc. So yeah, here's the intro cutscene. I'll let that play. Now, I'm going to link the download link of this game into the description, and I'm actually going to update the download page with this build of the game. I know that technically this build is buggier than the public test build currently up. But I'm uploading this build because this build has more content and therefore represents the version of the game that was canceled. The current build up on the site only has the first 2 stages, while this one that I'm going to upload later has stages 3 and 4 as well. Now, if we go into stage 1, you'll immediately notice a huge glitch. This is the Blackmoor. He does that. He gets stuck in the floor constantly. Now, this has not been fixed for the simple fact that the Blackmoor was added retroactively after I finished the first level. So I finished stage 1, and then I went back and added the Blackmoor later. So the Blackmoor got added right before I canceled the game. Now, briefly, I'm going to go over Thomas's moveset. He has a basic, no combo. This game functions a lot like Rise 1 in terms of movesets. He has a ground skill, and then you can use that same skill in the air to do a ground pound. Every character can double jump, by the way. Now, the way skills work is Thomas is the outlier here. Every character has 2 skills and a basic. Thomas has 1 basic, 1 skill, but you can use that skill in the air, and it recharges super fast. So essentially, Thomas has 2 skills. Just 1 can only be used in the air. In the top left, you can see the skill timer thing. It's just on or off. There's no in-between. No bar filling up or anything. This game does not have supers. It's like Rise 1. Now the purple dudes are called bone hermits. They're skeletons wearing, bags, and they're essentially the basic enemy in this game. These dudes are gruntuses. They're in literally every game I made, and spoiler alert, they're in Rise 2. Haven't shown them off in Rise 2 yet, but they're in it. They die in 1 hit, and they move fast. Whatever. Anyway, we're at the boss of the stage. I'm going to kill this Blackmoor first so it doesn't glitch through the floor. The boss of the stage is Vindictus, who was the stage, I want to say 8 boss in M1. Now Vindictus only has a basic and a jump, and that's how he works. It's quite a simple fight, but it's whatever. It's the very first boss fight in this style I think I made, so I'm kind of happy with it, kind of not. Vindictus gets reskinned as a mini-boss in Stage 4, and that fight has more moves. He's not the boss of Stage 4, but a mini-boss halfway through the stage. Now, before we continue with Stage 2, I'm going to pick Gregor and go into Stage 2, which is the tower. Now, Gregor has a basic. He moves slower than Thomas, has more health. Not going over the exact stat numbers, because I don't think I remember them. And, it's not really relevant for a game that I'm not still working on, I guess. I'm just trying to come up with an arbitrary reason. The real reason is I don't remember him. He does jump higher than Thomas, though. Also, you can fall back through these platforms if you press down, which is neat, I guess. Up here we have Lasser. Now, Lasser is a playable character in Rise 2. This is where she came from. She has 2 moves that she'll do randomly, and after the double cleaver swing, she's open for an attack. Now, Gregor's moves are a spin and this uppercut thing. The spin is pretty good, and the uppercut is kind of okay, but whatever. It does do a lot of knockback, though, so it's decent, I suppose. Now, this level's pretty short. It's just a straight upwards thing. And as you can see, Rise 2 has literally the exact same health bars as this game, because honestly, they're pretty okay in this game, so I didn't feel a need to change them. Now we're moving on to my favorite boss in the game, the Ossicle. Actually, Ossicle's my second favorite, but whatever. I think this is still an okay boss. As you can see, is these long-necked, 6-legged wyvern drake thing. Drake of Darkness, yeah, he's a drake. Now he has 3 moves. He has this head peck attack. He's got this shadow fireball where he has to suck in his neck to do it. And he throws a dude. That dude is called Doskinson, I think. I forgot what his name is. But he dies in 1 hit. So he's essentially just a bone hermit that dies in 1 hit. This boss, you might have noticed that this boss doesn't have the same cutscene thing that Vindictus has. And that's because I added those retroactively too, and only got back to Vindictus to add that. So now we'll do Nameless. Now Nameless is a bit faster than Gregor, and he jumps higher. He has a slide move, which is the secondary skill, and he has this swinging axe uppercut thing for his primary skill. I kind of like this Nameless design, and if Nameless ever comes back for Rise 2 or something, I might reuse this design. Not the sprite, mind you, but the design itself. I think Nameless is probably my favorite character in the game. The slide's good, and this animation is interesting. So yeah. Now these dudes up here are called the Crystals. No relation to the M2 enemy at all. These dudes just throw projectiles and move on top of these platforms as you move downward. Now here we have a Gruntus again, Gruntus, and a Nubarok from Rise 1, and I guess BM2 as well, but it's using the Rise 1 design, which is already similar to the M2 design, BM2 design, but whatever. The way a Nubarok works in this game is he has a basic attack, that's it. He's essentially just a Gruntus, but he has literally infinite health. You cannot kill a Nubarok whatsoever, which is neat, I guess. Now, I didn't show off how the crystals move, at least I don't think I did. So they're on these rafter things, and whenever you get far away from them, they run to the other side and start throwing the projectiles. And I think they work okay. Now we'll move on to the boss of the stage, which is Boulder. You know, the Boulder guy from BM1. He's kind of buggy, but I think he's okay. He's probably the hardest boss in the game, if you from a pure mechanical standpoint. The next boss is harder for first-time players, but he has a very predictable pattern. Before we continue, I just want to show you that there's a Woofius hidden over here, which is neat, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and do this as Nameless because there's no reason to go back. So this is the 4th stage. As you can see, there's no background and parts of it aren't textured. This is, as you can see, this is when we stopped development. There's a Skullgrin. They were in Rise 1 and they will maybe be in Rise 2. There's technically a 4-Fats enemy called Skullgrin, but there is no connection between that and this enemy. This guy is named after the G1 Transformer Skullgrin. Anyway, he has a dash move. We have another Gruntus. And down here is the other new enemy type of this stage, the Gorejaw. Gorejaws are horrifying, but I love them. The name Gorejaw comes from the GoBot Gorejaw. So, Skullgrin's named after a Transformer, and Gorejaw is named after the competitor of Transformers, GoBots. That's the joke. I might go back and finish Nights at some point. The main reason Nights got cancelled is overambition. I planned for this game to have 10 stages, which is way too many. I planned on the game having like 5 to 10 secret characters, which is way too many. If I do go back and finish Nights, I'll finish Stage 4 and have Conniver be the boss of Stage 5 and end it there. I guess. That's what would happen, probably, if I ever went back to finish Nights. And I might do that. I've been considering doing that for a bit. Because this project had potential, and even though it is buggy and nowhere near the quality of Rise 2, I still think that I should go back and finish it at some point, because there's something here. There is something here that I think needs to be finished. Now, if we go down here, we'll fight the Vindictus reskin, Singe. Singe has 2 new moves and ditches Vindictus's jump move. He has a different jump. And then he has this stronger axe swing, which you'll see if he'll... Yeah, there he goes. And then he has the same basic as Vindictus. Now, this guy's technically harder than Vindictus, but not by much, which is why he's the first mini-boss of the game. But there he goes. And we can go on with the rest of the level. Then we move on to the boss level, the Fractured One. Now, the Fractured One is the king of the Skullgrins. This is before Vodakar existed, and Vodakar is now the current king of the Skullgrins. I suppose I could work this into the lore, saying that this guy was usurped by Vodakar, and that's why he's chained up, but there's no connection there, really. That's just a coincidence. But whatever. You fall down here, then the chains break, and he goes down here. Now you have to read what his animations are to see what attack he's going to do. If he raises up his hands, the spikes in the floor is going to raise up. There's the spikes going. If he does that, fireball. That move, 2 projectiles are going to come in from the side. He only has 4 moves. And I think this is probably my favorite boss in the game because it has a flow to it. It's got a really nice flow to it. And that's the last finished quote-unquote level. The library is still very broken, but whatever. If we go up here to the Temple of Enoch, the optional stage, there's some stuff here. So here's Rugrat, which is a scrapped M2 enemy. I added her before the enemy was announced to be scrapped. Kunoichi replaced her in the sewer stage. This is Dinko. Dinko is an entirely new character created for this stage, and all he does is shoot green. It's poison, but whatever. It doesn't poison you. He dies in 1 hit. Up here we have the Guiki. The Guiki are horrible. Now in Rise 1, the Guiki were the ranged enemies. In this game, they are not that. In this game, they are the fastest, most aggressive enemy in the game, and will kill you very quickly. They're horrible. Now, the Rugrats actually have AI. They can jump kick you and stuff. It's horrible AI, but they have that, which is cool, I guess. It's the first time I attempted to do something like that, and actually second time, but whatever. As you can see, it didn't work out well. The Guiki just run back and forth and occasionally stop for no reason, which is intentional. They're supposed to do that. They're supposed to be erratic beyond belief. And I'm just going to go past them, because I hate them. Now, if we come up here, we'll find the mini-boss of the stage, which is the Filter. I can't remember if I finished Filter or not. His name's not up there, so probably not. Does his dash work? Kind of. It kind of works. He's broken, though. This is the last part of content I really have to show, is this part, because after you beat Filter, there is no boss to this level. If we hit the reset button, go onto the map screen, you can see down here we have the Town of the Lost, which if you press space and enter, that dude pops in, screams, and then you're kicked back to the map screen. That was Turmoil, who was going to be this game's red stage boss, like Lithidus was in Rise 1. And while I do really like that animation, never got around to finishing the fight. Turmoil, though, this part right here does look really cool, and I wish that I finished it, but I didn't. And there is one more thing I want to show. So if you start stage 1 and kill every enemy, something interesting happens. Every enemy except the boss, mind you. I can't remember if Blaboars count to it. I don't think they do, because they're unfinished, and I made this thing before I added the Blaboars. So once we've killed every enemy, return to the start of the stage. This is the only secret like this in the game, by the way. There's no others. And if we go all the way here, there's a portal now. If we enter it, you find King of the Parasites, Harold. Now this fight sucks. The way he works is he shoots projectiles and walks around aimlessly. He has a basic, he shoots the projectiles, and every once in a while he kicks a turtle shell like Mario. The turtle shell will bounce twice, I'm pretty sure. And then out pops Drabor. Drabor is a secret playable character as well. He sucks, by the way. Drabor sucks. Probably not going to beat Harold in this recording. But when you beat Harold, you go to stage 3. So if you do this secret, you skip the entirety of stage 2. Harold's probably harder than the entirety of stage 2. But if you do that secret, kill all the enemies, go back to the start of stage 1, you don't have to play stage 2 and immediately go to stage 3. I like that idea, and there's another thing you get for it too. By beating him, you unlock Drabor as a playable character. Now here's how Drabor works. Also shout out CK, because Drabor is CK's character. Drabor has the lowest amount of health of any character, but he also has the attack that does the most damage. So he's got this turtle shell move that you can use constantly, which is essentially just a weaker version of Nameless's slide, but a faster cooldown. And then he does this. Let's get up here. He fires a subway car out of a portal. That does the most damage of any attack in the game and does the highest knockback of any attack in the game. Now we move on to Chaos Guardian, who does not have a portrait because he's unfinished. Chaos Guardian is a DGM character, and currently in the game he has the same unlock condition as Drabor, just because I didn't finish the ninja stage. The ninja stage, you know, where we fought Filter and those guys, this guy was originally going to be unlocked at the end of it. He was not the boss of the level, by the way. The boss of the level was the Gruntus King, Enoch, but that never got finished. He does have a design, and if you go to the shorts section of my channel, you'll be able to see it. Now what his moves are is he's got this basic. You press the K button, he does that with the axe. And the L move is a headbutt thing that he can use in the air as well, but it's the exact same. So, some moves can be used in the air, but they function identically. Thomas is the only character who has an air exclusive move. Now, Chaos Guardian has, I think, the same amount of health as Thomas, moves at about the same speed. His attacks do more damage, I'm pretty sure, than Thomas, but the ground pound is probably the best move in the entire game. So, yeah. I think it's functionally No, he's got the same amount of health as Gomez, which is Thomas's skin. I guess I'll briefly show off the skins. Now, Gomez is the fastest character in the game, but he has the least amount of health of the core characters, even though he's technically a skin, but whatever. Thomas would have the least amount of health, but Gomez has even less health. I believe Thomas is around 90, and I think Gomez is around 75. But he moves like Sonic, so who cares? Gomez will always be the weakest core character, but for reference, none of the secret characters are allowed to have more health than Gomez. They're all supposed to suck. Then we move on to Bison. I forget his stat differences for Nameless, but I'll go ahead and show off his animations. There's the slide. As you can see, he has a different idle animation than Nameless. There's that move, yeah. So I don't really have that much else to say about Knights. It is what it is. I wish I finished it, but I didn't. I may at some point go back, finish Stage 4, remove the optional stuff, and then add a 5th stage to conclude the game. Might do that. We'll see. But whatever. If you want to download this incomplete version of the game, link is in the description, as well as the link to the Discord server where I talk about the games that I make.